morning, everyone, and welcome to Stampin' Chat Live. I'm Gina from Gina K Designs, and it's great to see all of you coming in from all around the world. Tonight, we're going to be playing with the new Autumn Delight stencil. That was part of our Autumn Delight kit, and it will be back in stock. The stencil will be back in stock at the end of this month. Well, actually, right around September. What's that Tuesday, Tom? Is it the 23rd? I believe it is. We'll check on that. But that is going to be our brand new holiday release. And then all of the contents of this current kit will be divided up, and everything except the embossing folder will be available for you guys who missed out on the kit. You can still get the components that you want. Those embossing folders take a little bit longer, but it will also come back in stock eventually. Well, it is great to see everybody. A big shout out to Brianne Loveland, who is in the comments. She is going to be sharing links for any of the other products that I use in tonight's live. And so thank you, Brianne, for being here. You're always amazing. And Brianne also helps answer so many other questions. I see her working so hard in the chat. So before we get started with tonight's video, let's say hello to Tom. Hey, Tom.
Greetings, crafters out there.
How are you doing?
I am better than horrible from the dead space.
Yeah. Well, it is good to be here tonight. We're going to have some fun tonight, right?
Yes, we're embracing the fall vibe completely.
We definitely are. It is beautiful here in Wisconsin. For those of you that have been following along with my personal Instagram account, I've been picking tomatoes in my garden, and I actually made a big pot of sauce. It was like a big pot, one of those big Italian mama pots. And when I finally cooked everything down, I just had a quarter of a pot. So I was going to can and jar, and there was about just enough there for maybe a couple dinners. Got to figure it out, right?
World-class dinners.
Yeah, it was good, yeah. I probably would have had enough to do about 4 jars of sauce, but it didn't seem worth canning it since we go through it so quickly. So maybe next year I will increase the amount of tomato plants, but I certainly learned a lot. That's my other hobby, is gardening. So, but let's get to the hobby at hand. And also, Tom, I wanted to let everybody know, Thursday, we have a very, very special surprise that's going to be here on our YouTube channel. So make sure you come to our Thursday live at noon because we have something very special to share with you. And then we promise in the next couple of weeks, we will be back to our master layout series. We'll get it all done before the end of the year. I promise. We only have 2 sets left to do. But something very, very, very special on Thursday. So make sure you stay tuned for that. Okay, so let's talk about what we're going to do tonight. Oh, but Tom, I do have to ask, do you have a word of the day for later? The dead space is
I have 2
rocked.
very related words of the day.
Ooh, 2. I'm excited.
I don't know. We'll see.
Okay. All right. Well, let me show you what we're going to be using tonight. So this is the brand new Autumn Delight stencil. This is a layering stencil. It was designed by my daughter, Alicia. And it is actually, these are sold as a bundle when it comes into our regular inventory. This will be sold as a stencil and a die bundle. You can see I still have pieces from the last time that I cut this out. So there we go. Let's get rid of that. But this actually cuts out this huge design, and it is a 4-piece layering stencil. So we're going to use it 2 ways because the Autumn Delight stencil and die were part of the kit, but you also could have, if you wanted to, purchase the additional Poly-Glaze sheets. So I am going to do one of my cards in Poly-Glaze tonight and one of them using just more generic stamps and without the outline. This way you can see it both ways because you do not need a stamp for this because you have the Poly-Glaze for the outlines if you foil. If you don't foil, it looks beautiful without any outline. So I'm going to show you both ways, and then I'm going to show you how to cut this up and use it for both an A2 card and a 5x7 card. So we'll make one Poly-Glaze version and one plain version. But this is a great pack of Poly-Glaze sheets. So this has 6 sheets in here, and there's 2 on each sheet, which gives you 12 full cards that you can make out of this one little sheet of Poly-Glaze, little pack of Poly-Glaze. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to cut it out first. You can see I'm just cutting around between these 2. Now you don't have to if you don't want to, if you have bigger sheets of foil, which if you purchase our fancy foils, like the 14 karat here. So the full sheets of 14 karat would fit over the whole Poly-Glaze sheet because they're 6 by 8 inches. So it would fit over the whole thing, pretty much the whole thing. But I like to cut these in half, so I tend to end up with smaller sheets. But now that we're doing these bigger designs, I would suggest that if you have like your 14 karat, next time you order some, maybe leave a few big sheets for these bigger designs, because they are certainly huge designs and they need a little bit more than a half a sheet. So let me pull this whole thing out of here, and we'll just put it back in the other one. And I'm going to take 1 sheet of Poly-Glaze out, 1 sheet of foil out of this 14 karat pack. Now, if you're new to foiling, it is very, very easy to foil using the Fuse foiling system. People often ask, can I use a regular laminator with these foils and the Poly-Glaze sheets? And the short answer is yes, you can. The longer answer is you can, however, sometimes a regular laminator either gets too hot or not hot enough. So if you don't get great results, you may want to pick up a Fuse foiling machine. Now, if you have a mink, you'll be fine, because the mink is the same caliber, same design, same manufacturer as ours. So we know it's a great machine. But the Fuse foiling system, if you're new and you're looking for a new machine and you're looking for a new foiling system, the Fuse is definitely less expensive because it doesn't carry the mink brand name. It's our own. And so we're able to sell it a little bit cheaper because we didn't have to license the name from American Crafts. All right, so we are going to turn this on, and then we are going to turn it on here up to level 3. So this is going to heat up. It's got about a 2 to 3 minute warm up. And once it warms up, this light will turn green and it will be ready to go. No, you're not weird for not liking foiling, Linda. That's okay. It's not for everybody. But for those of us that love sparkle and shine, foiling is really an easy and inexpensive way to create beautiful, shiny cards. So if you don't like it, you don't like it. And the nice thing about all of our products, a lot of these designs that we do in Poly-Glaze, we either do in layering stencils or we do them in stamps and coloring stencils. So if you watch a card where I'm doing something like this and you say, foiling, it's not for me, you can still watch the video and you can still do it without foiling, because you can create the same look, which is what I'm going to do tonight. I'm going to create the same look. One card will be foiled, one card will not be foiled. Okay, so I have a Swiffer duster, which is an anti-static dusting cloth. It's not anti-static. I say that all the time, but it actually has static, because what it does is the dust is attracted to the static in the cloth, and it pulls all of the dust off of the surface of your cardstock and any that might be on your foil. So I'm going to lay that on top and get rid of all the dust. It's important to get rid of the dust because anywhere that there's dust, the foil is not going to stick to the Poly-Glaze sheet. And you can do that same technique with toner sheets too. The difference between Poly-Glaze sheets and toner sheets is Poly-Glaze sheets are printed with a Poly-Glaze material, and it is actually a clear coating over a very, very pale gray ink, so you almost can't see it. So this way, when you foil, if any little specks of foil don't adhere, you don't see black spotting. That's what we love about Poly-Glaze. Toner sheets are printed with black laser toner. And so if it misses any spots, you do see the black. So that is the big difference and why we really love our Poly-Glaze sheets. However, the machines and the technology and the foils and the toner sheets have come really far from where they used to be, especially with something like the fused foiling system. So you're going to get very, very little spotting, if any at all, if you're using high quality things like the fuse, like really good quality foils, like the Gina K Fancy foils or any of the ThermoWeb foils. So, you know, there's a little bit of a chance, but good products lead to good results. Okay, so I have this in the carrier sheet that comes with the fuse. If you don't have a carrier sheet, you can pick up silicone-lined carrier sheets from ThermoWeb. They have those available. They look like parchment paper on the outside, but silicone coated, which helps really conduct heat better. And we are actually out of stock on these, and they won't let us reorder them until we're ready to order machines. So we're thinking probably toward the end of the year, after Black Friday, and all of, everybody got the machines and stuff, that we're going to be putting an order in for machines. When we do that, we're going to order thousands and thousands of these carrier sheets too. So, all right, and then the fold side of the carrier sheet's going to go in first. This way we don't have to worry about the open flaps wrapping around the rollers and getting stuck in the machine. Now this only takes, no, it's still, I just have a bruise on my nail and it looks really ugly, so it's the same bruise as last week. I just need to put like darker nail polish so you don't see my ugly bruise, but my nails look good otherwise. I might just put the nails back on. I just wanted to give it a little break. Okay, now there are two kinds of foiling too, so keep in mind that when you purchase foils, if you're not purchasing the Gina K Designs foils or the foil products in the tubes or the flat packs from ThermoWeb, make sure you're not buying hot foil. Hot foil is made for a completely different system, and hot foil does not work with Poly-Glaze. So keep that in mind. All right, I'm gonna leave this on because I think I'm gonna do a greeting too. But let's go ahead and we're gonna let that cool for a second. And I did bring some other Poly-Glaze sheets here, but I have to find real quickly. Gotta find the right dies to cut these out. All right, so this was from last Christmas. This was our holiday floral stamp and die and coloring stencil bundle. And everybody was loving the greetings in these so much that people were like, can you just do extra Poly-Glaze of just the greetings? So we have the Poly-Glaze that works with the full set. And then we also have Poly-Glaze for just the greetings. And you can use the same die set that comes in this stamp and die bundle to cut just the greetings, or the full Poly-Glaze sheets that also do the poinsettias and things like that. So what I thought I would do with my my small card, my A2 card, I would just do a regular greeting from our kit. And then for the larger card, the 5x7, I thought I would make it a holiday card because I want to show you how pretty you can make a Christmas card out of stencils that aren't necessarily Christmas stencils. Now we have lots of beautiful Christmas stencils, including poinsettias, poinsettia layering stencils, we have poinsettia coloring stencils, and we may even have something coming out in October that is such a beautiful poinsettia. Poinsettias are kind of my jam during the winter, I have to tell you. And there's all different ways to do them, so I love poinsettias.
Question.
So yes.
Gail said she got foil on her carrier sheet. Will that mess up her ability to foil other things with that carrier sheet?
No, not at all. Don't worry about it. It's totally fine if you got some foil on it. The best way not to get foil on your carrier sheet, though, is always to make sure that your foil completely covers the design. So if there's any Poly-Glaze, or if you're using toner sheets, any toner sticking out, it will stick to your carrier sheet. So I'm not sure what kind of foil you use to get foil on the carrier sheet, but it's not going to hurt your designs. Okay, so now I'm going to do the Merry Christmas greeting from this holiday floral set. I'm going to use, once again, my Swiffer, and I'm going to use my Swiffer duster on the back of the foil, and then I'm going to put these together, and I'm going to send it through the machine. All right. So here we go. It's great to see all of you coming in. I know it's been a busy day out there on the internet today. Lots and lots and lots of people went live today, so I really appreciate you making a little time for us tonight. That was so nice of you. I'm sure you're just exhausted. But we are here for you every Tuesday night. It's our regular time, so we really appreciate you being here. All right, so here we go. I'm going to peel this off, and look at this gorgeous design. Look how delicate those lines are. Isn't that beautiful? Whew, I love that. Now this just adds a little something to the design, but it's not necessary. So again, if you're not a foiling buff and it's just not your thing, don't worry, you don't have to do these cards with foil. But I thought, while we're here, I haven't done one in a while, I might as well show those of you who are just thinking about it. All right, and now we've got the beautiful Merry Christmas greeting. See how easy that is? I love it. All righty, now what I'm going to do is I am going to cut out this design using the coordinating die, and then I'm going to cut one blank one using the coordinating die. This way we can kind of make these cards the same time. All right, I'm going to use my big die cutting machine, the Intracut. Alrighty, and then I've got my magnetic mat here, my magnetic plate. Now, I really want this to be perfect, so I may use some Masking Magic here. So these are our Masking Magic strips. They come in 3 different sizes. I'm going to be using the 1/2 inch. All 3 sizes come in the pack. I'm going to be using the 1/2 inch just to secure this design down. And I want to be especially careful not to use some harsher tape because I don't want to tear the foil. I don't want the foil to stick. Okay, so let's get this lined up here. Looking good. Okay. It's stuck pretty good onto this mat, but I'm just being extra careful because I really don't want anything to happen.
Question from Levon. Would you ever use different color foils to color these flowers?
Different color foils to
color the flowers.
Well, I'm going to color the flowers with ink. So I like to use, I really am, when I'm doing outlines, I really love gold or silver because I think it's classy, it's simple, and you know, it's just perfect for just doing that subtle outline. And the inside is all going to be colored because I don't have Poly-Glaze sheets that do the inside of these. So it's going to be strictly stenciling. Okay. But you can use any color foil you want for the outlines. I just personally love the look of either gold or silver when it comes to an outline. All right, so I've got another piece of white cardstock here. Actually, I got 2 in my hand. And I am going to cut one more of these dies. And this I don't have to worry about because I just want a blank one. Okay. So the foiled paper, this Poly-Glaze paper, is printed on 80-pound super smooth layering weight cardstock. We specifically send our cardstock because we want it printed on the same exact cardstock that we use for everything else that we do in our collection. So, you know, it's all printed on that same cardstock, 80 pound. when cardstock is too heavyweight, like when toner sheets or anything is printed on too oh, you know what? I got to cut this reading out too. Sorry about that. When it's printed on too heavy of a weight, sometimes things get more spotty. And the reason is because you're not getting heat, as much heat on the design from the bottom. Sorry, Tom. You're not getting quite as much heat from the bottom. So just because it's thick, you know. 80-pound is thin enough. Boy, there's hot rods out there. I wonder if you guys can hear those cars going by. Sorry, Tom. Tom's poor ears. Alrighty. So this Merry Christmas greeting is so pretty. And you can use the negative pieces too to do the reverse, but look how pretty that is. These are, I mean, I know that these were last year's holiday designs and last year's holiday stamps, but if you have watched Gina K, if you've watched this channel for any length of time, you know that just because something came out last year doesn't make me stop using it. I use everything. I love all of my kits, and I continue to bring those stamps and dies back video after video. So, you know, that's one thing that's good, is that you're going to continue to get inspired. It's not like, oh, something new and I'm going to make a video and then you're never going to see it again on my channel. You're going to see it a lot on my channel. So, and especially when it comes to holiday stuff, because it's always fun to get new holiday stuff. However, it's really fun to be able to mix the new stuff with the old stuff. And thank you, Paula. We think so. We think that it's timeless, and we're glad that you do too. All right, so let's start with, let me get the picture here, because this picture is going to help a little bit here. I'm going to just lay this kind of in the same orientation, and that should help me, although I don't know if Brian shifted this picture. He may have. Brian is my future son-in-law and our graphic designer here at Gina K Designs. So he does a lot of the graphic design. I think he might have shifted it, but that's okay. All right, let me shift this to make it easier. So one thing you'll notice about all of our standalone stencil sets is they're all marked at the bottom with the name. So here we have Autumn Delight 1. Can you see that? Let's try to get it in the light. There you go. You see that at the bottom there? It says Autumn Delight 1. So we want to make sure that they're all facing the same way. And then it really only matters, it matters that you go in order, because the first one you always want to be lighter than the second layer. Okay, so do I remember when you did last year's holiday release? Yeah, it was in September. I mean, yeah, we always do our holiday release in September. So just to make it a little bit easier, what I like to do is I like to kind of just get, you know, the stencil on top, and then I just drop what I'm going to do here. That just makes it easier to figure out what direction the stencil should go in. So what I'm going to do, because I want this to be a Christmas card, I'm going to use reds and greens. So I'm going to use Coral Reef, and then I'm going to use Red Velvet, and I'm going to use a little bit of Faded Brick. I've got a bunch of other samples to show, so I have lots of cards to show you. But this is a really nice trio for doing reds. Okay, so we're going to position this on top of the Poly-Glaze design. Okay, there we go. And we're going to start, let me get my red brush, and I am going to just wipe off anything that is on this brush. I'm going to put this one away so I don't ruin it. But I want to get off, see, I have orange on here. That's because this is an orange brush. Where's my red brush? This is more red. Okay, we'll use this one. So I have to grab my trusty ink stand, because I can't make a card without my ink stand. And one thing that I want to tell you is on the bottom, there's these little rubber feet on the ink stand. Sometimes they get dirty. Just because we are dusty creatures in our craft room, right? We use embossing powders and embossing magic powder, and then we use glitter, and we use all kinds of things. And if you're like me, you don't really like to dust anyway. So what can happen is your inkstand can lose its stick a little bit, and then it's moving all around. So, but now you could see it is really stuck down there. So if you ever lose your stick on your inkstand, just take a little bit of rubbing alcohol and just clean the bottoms of the feet, and that will really help. See how sturdy it is on there? Okay, so I'm going to use some Coral Reef, and I'm going to go a little light-handed, and I'm just going to go up in a circular motion, and then I'm going to go in the opposite direction. But you can see how light-handed I'm being with this. Just want to add a little bit of color in here. This is such a pretty stencil. And it is really fun to be able to use non-traditional holiday flowers and just do them in red and green and add a Christmas greeting, and you'll see it's perfect, right? You could do Christmas roses, Christmas poppies. And this could kind of look a little bit like a poppy, right? Could kind of be a poppy. Maybe you don't see the inside. Maybe the poppy is like facing away. All right, so there's our first layer. That's Coral Reef. Now we're going to switch to red velvet for our second layer. And
Okay, a few people have had trouble with voice coming in and out. I don't think that's on our end. If you go out, exit, and come back in, for many people that has solved the problem.
yeah, give that a try. Are you listening on YouTube, Tom?
I'm not listening right now, no.
Okay. All right.
Do you want me to listen?
Well, sometimes it's like, it's not on YouTube, but it is on Facebook, like a problem. Facebook sometimes has problems where YouTube might not. Okay, so now I'm going to use the second layer of this stencil. Okay, so people on YouTube are saying it sounds pretty good. And then Mona said she went out and came back in and it fixed the problem. So there you go, Tom. You are correct. Okay, so now I'm laying down this second layer. I just want to make sure that I've got it in the right position. And now I'm going to add my second layer of red, which is going to be the red velvet. So red velvet is a much deeper red. It's a really good Christmas red, if you're looking for a good Christmas red. My little chipmunk sound from my inkstand. I like to make the sound. Okay, and I am not going to be done after I put this second layer on. I'm going to add one more color in there. All right, so we've got that. It looks beautiful. We're going to add some faded brick. So I'm going to use, you can use a detail blending brush for this, or, let's see, I'm going to use this one. I'm going to use a detail brush. I was thinking about using this one instead, but these are our small brushes. These are our large brushes, and these are our detail brushes. But I'm going to stick with the detail brush. So I'm going to add just a little bit of faded brick down here at the base, just to darken that up. Can you see that little bit of darkness in there? That really does make a difference. It just adds some depth into this. And it's neat because it almost acts as a third layer. Even though the flowers only have 2 layers, it gives you all that depth, which is really pretty. All right, now we're going to pull that off. See, that's so pretty. Love that. And I'm cleaning the stencil as I go, just because we're going to be using it again on another card. And you'll be able to see how it looks without the outline. And then we're going to cut this all apart This is a great stencil for cutting apart the image. It makes it really easy the way it was designed. Okay, so now we're going to go to our leaves. So let's start with Jelly Bean. I'm going to do Jelly Bean Green. I'm going to put my brushes back here. And we're going to get layer 3. So layer 3 is going to give us the large part of these leaves. And that's why we want to go in order, because we want the lighter green to be on this layer. Because the next layer is just part of these leaves, and we want that to be the depth. So a little bit of Jelly Bean in there. Just like that. Okay. And then we're going to add fresh asparagus. So this one I really didn't have to clean because I'm going to use the same greens on my next one, but you know how it is when you like put your hand on something that has ink on it and then you ruin everything. It's better to clean it. No, I'm not going to cut the stencil, although you certainly can if you want. I think this design is perfect for cutting without damaging your stencil. So I think you'll like how easy this is. So now we're going to add the fresh asparagus. All right. And you can see I used the same brush. No issue here. And I can just clean the brush real quick just by rubbing it on a paper towel, and then I can go back and use the Jelly Bean again for my next card. Or if you feel like you've got too much ink on it, you can always just rub it on a little bit of rubbing alcohol on your paper towel, and that will remove more ink. Okay, so there is our beautiful design with all that shine. Now when it comes to Poly-Glaze or any foiling that you're doing, one thing that I highly recommend is that you blot this before you put it on your card. And what I mean by that is, I'm going to take this off the sticky mat. To get it off the sticky mat, just roll the mat and it just kind of pops off. Okay. What I'm going to do is grab a piece of dry paper towel and I'm just going to blot over it. And what that's going to do is that's going to remove any ink that was resting on the foil, because foil isn't porous, so the ink isn't going to penetrate in that. And so if there was any ink, and it's really hard to see, but I can see a little bit of red up here, that'll just prevent it from being smeared when you're putting it on your card or when your recipient touches it. You don't want them to get ink on their hands. So now you can see this beautiful design is going to make a really lovely Christmas card. All right, I'm going to put that aside and we're going to use the blank one now. And again, it just makes it easier when you kind of position it just a little bit and then just drop it down on your mat. This way you're not like fidgeting all over the place trying to figure it out. You know it goes like this and you just have to adjust it slightly. Okay, so for this one, I'm going to do blues. I'm going to do some blues because I have some really pretty autumn cards to show you as well. So I want each one to be a little bit different. So I'm going to use Sea Glass, Turquoise Sea, and a little bit of Tranquil Teal. And that makes the same combination as my Coral Reef, my Red Velvet, and my Faded Brick. So you've got those 3 shades. And you guys know that we have like collections of 3 shades, but the reason why we don't have a turquoise collection and a red collection is because we already have them. They just don't all have the same name. So when you look at our our teals, or you look at, where'd my teal brush go? My goodness. I don't know where it went. Did I take it somewhere? Oh, here it is. So, you know, for me to do a light teal, medium teal, and dark teal, the colors would be sea glass, turquoise sea, and tranquil teal. So, no need to, you know, rewrite the code. We already have it. Okay, so now I've got this in position. I'm going to start with some sea glass. Okay. We're going to go nice and light with the sea glass. And again, I'm going in one direction, and then I'm coming around and going in the opposite direction. And that catches the edges more when you do that. Whatever direction you're going in, you're going to just catch one side of the edges, but by going in the opposite direction, you catch the other side of the edges, and that just defines everything. Especially when you're using stencils without a coordinating stamp or without a coordinating foil polyglaze design. It just defines the whole flower a little bit more. I think that looks pretty good. Okay, you know me and my blues, right? Love my blues. Okay, so there we go. That's so pretty. Now we're going to use layer 2. And again, if you're ever confused, just look for the bottom where it's written the name and you'll know exactly where to line it up. And these are pretty easy to line up because the white lines in between them just kind of disappear once you get it in the right position. See how I can see a white line there? So I need to shift this just a little bit because that is not perfectly lined up. The other thing that you can do is you can put this stencil in the corner of your MISTI, and then you don't have to try to line it up, but you would do that before die cutting, and then you would die cut afterwards. So I've shown that in other videos, so I think a lot of you know what I'm talking about, but I'll do that in another video at some point. Okay, and I clean my stencil with rubbing alcohol. I just use, there's two kinds of rubbing alcohol. Either one is fine to use. This is isopropyl rubbing alcohol, but there's another kind that you can use. Either one is fine, and there's 70%, and then there's, oh gosh, I want to say 90-something%, and either one is fine. It's not going to hurt you to use a stronger alcohol. Okay, I know, but you'll see with cutting the image. I know what you mean. It is scary, but it'll be fine. We're going to be fine. I promise. All right, so this is the Turquoise Sea. You can see it's a shade darker, shade or two darker. You get a more vibrant turquoise look. But we're going to go in with the Tranquil Teal, and we're going to add even more toward the bottom. And again, I'm going to use our detail brushes for this part. And Tranquil Teal is a much deeper turquoise. Oh, 91%. Thank you, Melissa. I forgot what the percentage was. I see it all the time, you know, when you go to Walgreens or CVS, you see. But either one, 91%, 70%, they both work fairly well. Very well, actually. So you can see that deep turquoise down at the bottom just makes everything glow. I really think it's the dark colors that make the rest of it glow. Once you get that in there, then the other turquoise really starts to glow. Same with the reds. All right, so now we'll peel that off. And that's so nice. So you can see there's a little bit of a difference in the feel of it because it doesn't have that super crisp line around the outside, but it's still really beautiful and it's a softer look. So it's, you know, one isn't better than the other. They're just different. All right, back to our greens again. I'm going to go back to the jelly bean. This would also be really pretty with our spruces. The spruces are a very bluish green. I could have used the spruces with the red, and that might have been a little bit better for Christmas too. But, you know, what's done is done. We're going to make it work. So I'm just getting rid of a little bit of that fresh asparagus on there. And now I'm going to use layer 3 and line it up. Now it's a little bit different lining it up without those lines to tell you exactly where things go. But when I'm lining up my stencils and I don't have a Poly-Glaze sheet, I don't have a defined line, I just look around the perimeter to make sure that that white space looks even, what's going to be left behind on that die cut. Okay. So we've got our jelly bean. Best green ever. That's an opinion. Others will vary. Turquoise and greens are my favorite. The blues and the greens. All right, now pull that off. You can definitely just feel the difference in this. It's soft. All right, and here is layer 4. So we just need to get that into place. That looks pretty good. And we're going with the darker green, the fresh asparagus. Christmas pine, yeah, is a great color, Tammy. All right, so now we've got this darker green going in there. Christmas pine cardstock looks great with our Christmas pine ink, but it also looks great with the light, medium, and dark spruce. So if you are starting to think about Christmas cards and greens that you can use, Christmas pine cardstock is a great addition. Okay, and there we go. So nice. Now I'm going to pull this one off. Again, we'll just let it pop off. And we've got our blue one and our red one. So now I've already cut some panels here to save a little bit of time tonight. I've cut similar panels for 2 different size cards. So I have my Master Layouts 2 here. That's the stitched panel from Master Layouts 2 and the plain panel for the layering, for the shadow layer. And then I also did the same for Master Layouts 8. So you can see these are definitely going to be drastically different sizes, right? So if we made our Christmas card out of this this 5x7 card, it will be beautiful. I'm going to do a little background technique. I'm going to use soft stone for that. So here's the soft stone ink. I'm going to use a little soft stone for that. It's going to be really beautiful. But this, that's just too much. That's just too big, right? We don't need it to be quite that big. So what we're going to do for this one is we are going to cut this flower on the bottom off, okay? And the way we're going to do that is, let me find my scissors. Here they are. So what we're going to do is, right here, this is only attached in 2 spots. It's attached right here, and it's attached right here. So what we're going to do is we're just going to take the scissors and we're just going to very gently just cut right there, like that. Now don't worry about this. We're going to fix that. So now that has a pretty edge there. All right, and then we're going to do the same thing over here. We're going to cut this kind of to match a little bit the flow of the leaves, just like that. So now we've got this side looks good. This side looks a little ratty still. You can see that. This side looks good up here, but this side looks a little ratty. So we're just going to take our scissors and we're just going to slightly round that. And now you would never know that that was cut apart. And we're going to do the same thing over here. We're going to just round that off a little bit. Okay. And then I'm going to cut in just a little bit more here to the corner. All right, there we go. And now you would never know. Now, you could just do 2 if you wanted, or you could just do 1 if you wanted. You could have a single one coming up here like that. And then you could pop your greeting on. I'm going to use the Merry Christmas greeting, you know, just to show you. You could also just go with 2. Do something like that, have it come in there. And of course, if it was red, it might be a little more Christmassy feeling. Okay. You can also reposition the whole thing. So you could have 2 flowers coming in here, and then you could have 1 coming in here, and you could trim them off on the sides and then add your greeting in the center like that. So by cutting these apart, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to flip this way. And I don't mind that they hang over the edge because remember, we're still going to have a card base that has a wide border. And then I'm going to take this, I'm actually going to cut this leaf off, and I'm going to plant that flower underneath here. So all 3 of them are very clustered closely together, unlike this one where they're more spread apart. Because I really like either a single flower, which I saw a comment saying the single flower is beautiful, and it definitely is. So I either like the single flower or I like 3. I tend to go for those odd numbers a little bit. So I think just using the 3 here is just really pretty. But of course you could do the single flower too, or you could just do the 2. I thought the 2 looked really pretty because the 3rd element was the greeting. And that worked too, when you brought it in from the side like this and then you added this greeting here. I think that's really an elegant card. So, you know, it's totally up to you. But why not take a big stencil that has lots of flowers on it, which is perfect for 5x7s, perfect for your big, tall, slimline cards, because you could have, you know, 2 coming in on one side and 1 coming up on the top and really get a tall design. But why not be able to use that for these smaller A2 cards too? So this is my plan for tonight. I think I'm going to cut these leaves off, which you're not even going to see this, so I'm not going to worry about it. I'm just going to cut it off. And I'm actually going to use it though. I'm going to stuff it in there somewhere else. And that doesn't matter because it's going to be tucked under here and you won't even see it. Okay. Let me fix my pump because I know it's ringing and it's probably driving everybody crazy. So we'll just go ahead and fix that. There's nothing wrong. I'm good. Now I'm going to pull a greeting from my bucket of greetings here. And a thinking of you greeting is always a good one because it works for just a friendship card. It works for a sympathy card. It works for an encouragement card. Just a friendship card, and you could even add thinking of you, and on the inside you could add on your birthday. So you could turn this into pretty much anything, and this way I don't have to stamp another greeting because I don't think you need to see me do that. Now let's add a little bit of grounding element behind here. I love to add a little something onto the back of my plain white card base. And even though I like clean and simple cards, I really do, I think it's nice to have a little bit of something. And I wanted to make these cards the same, just different sizes. So we are going to use the same stencil for both. So the stencil I'm using is the Harvest Flourish. And I just need to find my black blending brush. Is this black or is that navy? That looks a little bit navy. And my black one is hanging out here. I have all my small ones and just a couple big black, my big black one over here. And let me grab my paper towel and just clean this off, because if this has black on it, it's going to be too much. I just want it to have a little bit of light gray. Okay, I'm sorry. I know you guys are probably looking, did I leave my refrigerator open? Is my microwave beeping? Nope, that was me. That was me beeping. It's so faint in the background, but it's enough to drive you nuts. All right, and I'm just going to add a little bit of this color here. This is just a mist of color. It gives us a little bit of grounding for our image, and it's not going all the way to the edge. Just a little something in there. Subtle. Okay? Now I'm going to do the same thing with the big panel. So this is for my 5x7 card. And again, even though this stencil is smaller, let me switch. Even though my stencil is smaller, as long as I don't go all the way to the edge up here or down here, and I just kind of stick in the middle, I think it's going to be totally fine. I just want to have a little bit of texture almost. You could do an embossing folder back here. You could do a background stamp if you want, but just giving it that little bit of texture is going to be real pretty when we add this, this large floral on top. You know, it just gives it something going on back there, so it's not super plain. Now, I could go up a little bit higher on this one. It's easy to just put that right back in place if you want to add a little bit more toward the top. And since this is going to be down a little bit on the card, I think I'm going to do just that. Maybe a little bit down here too. Just gives me a little bit more up here. This way, if this is down here a little bit, you know, there's something interesting going on up there. And then this is going to be my Christmas card, so we could put the Merry Christmas more in the center. All right, let's assemble these cards, and we'll see if we're going to put any embellishments on here. And these are very, very simple greetings. Okay, very simple cards, clean and simple. I know some people don't think it's clean and simple, though, because it has layers, and it's not a one layer. But to me, it's crisp, and that's what makes it feel clean and simple to me, rather than lots of frilliness. It doesn't have a whole lot of frilliness to it. Alrighty. So now we're going to go ahead and just adhere these bases, these panels, onto these shadow layers that I cut using the same die sets. So this is Master Layouts 2, stitched panel and shadow layer. And this is Master Layouts 8, stitched panel and shadow layer. And then I'm going to show you a couple other cards I made using these. I even made an A6 card, which is that in-between size. So it's not as big as the 5x7, but it's bigger than an A2. And some people really like that size for Christmas cards. And we just got a huge shipment of A6 envelopes in, too, in white, which is nice because you can do a little stenciling on the outside if you want. Now for my blue card, I'm going to use some sea glass cardstock. So I'm going to cut a sea glass card base. I don't think I have one already cut. You would think I would by now, but I don't think I do. So I'm going to use a sea glass card base for this. I'm going to cut that at 4 1/4. And then we will fold that in half. And then I'm going to do a red velvet. Is this red velvet or is this red velvet? This is red velvet. I'm going to do a red velvet card base. And I'm going to take that 10 inches by 7 inches from my 5x7. So my 5x7 will be a side folding card. We also got 5x7 envelopes in today too. I'm not sure if we put them in stock yet because everything has to be counted once it comes in, but if you like making bigger cards for the holidays, you can stock up on your envelopes. Okay, so this is 10 by 7, and I'm going to score it at the 5-inch mark.
Got a few requests for the word of the day.
Ooh, that's good. Let's
When
do the
you're ready.
words of the day.
You sure?
Yeah. I'm just scoring and taping.
Okay, time for word of the day. Got to go on a stroll for this one. Setup.
Oh no,
Okay.
There's a setup?
So, yeah, Gina and I, in our downtime, such as it is, we love to spend time in the kitchen cooking.
Yes.
You know, we cook together. Isn't always fancy, but it's like a safe place and it's fun, and you have to eat anyway. So we have fun there. So when we have like a movie night, one of our favorite movie types is the kitchen confidential type of crazy movie where people are really freaked out in the kitchen and stressed out, like the what's the Bradley Cooper movie Burnt that we saw recently.
Burnt was a great
Yeah,
movie.
chefs yelling at people and stuff. So this is called the setup, right? So that inspires tonight's words of the day. If one of these master chefs got angry at one of the line cooks and threw a whole bucket of fresh pancake mix at one of the line cooks, would that be legally a cause of action for battery?
Wow.
Come on. And
Oh no.
part 2,
There's more.
if the dispute and the anger had arisen because of the sodium content of the batter, would it be assault and battery? Words of the day. Very quickly back to the dead space.
Oh my gosh. Very good. I like that. I like both of those words of the day. I got so distracted. I actually cut a piece of cardstock wrong listening to that setup. Very, very funny. All right, I changed my mind on the color of the red one because I really like coral reef, and I feel like the coral reef is going to just play off the coral of the cards, so I changed my mind. So that's what I was doing in the bright space here while the dead space was providing the word of the day. That's good, Tom. I like those. I like that. That's funny. Okay. So I went with coral reef and sea glass. Did you think about that at breakfast today, Tom?
I don't know when I thought about that. I'm in the dead space now.
Oh, you're back in the dead space. Okay. All right, so we're going to pop this up using foam squares. Oh, my goodness. Just a little lift here is going to be just what we need. So we'll just do a couple of the 1/2-inch foam squares on these big ones. I think the you could see like people laughing. You could tell like who's on delay a little bit. The laughs keep coming in, Tom. All right. And then I am going to cut a couple little ones. I do have some here, so maybe. I love reading the comments after the word of the day. It's like the best part. Bada bing, bada boom.
As I recall, I think assault is, and it depends whether you're in tort law or criminal law, there's different definitions, but assault is when you don't actually strike the person, but they're like in fear of being struck.
Is that right?
And then battery is actually being struck or threatened with intent. I don't know. It's a very clear definition, but yeah.
For those of you who are wondering, Tom was a lawyer in his last life before he joined Gina K Designs.
So about 4 lives ago.
I dragged him away from his career in law, worked for an insurance company, and I said, hey, you want to come make stamps? That's when we were making all of our own rubber stamps. All right, so I'm going to put this, I want to make sure it doesn't go like, I just want the leaf to go outside here, but I don't want it to go past the edge of the card too much. There we go. So that'll look good. And then we're going to put our Merry Christmas greeting. We could put that right there like that. I think that's going to be very pretty. And I'll just put a little tape right on here because we don't need to pop that up. It's just going to go right on top of everything. So tell the truth, Tom. This is more fun than practicing law, isn't it?
I would say it is, yes.
Yeah, me too. And I didn't practice law. But as somebody who was married to a lawyer, I would say that life is better at the stamp company. All right, now we're going to do our little shimmy here with these images. So we're going to start by, we'll put this one over here, and we can pop this up too. So let's do a little bit of foam squarage over here as well. I mean, you know, law is great, but most of the time when you're practicing law, it's because there's a problem somewhere. And when you're practicing card making, there isn't a problem. So all of us, we enjoy the practice of card making more. Okay, so we're going to pop this right here, and I'm going to go off the card just a little bit, but not off the outside perimeter. It's going to go right to the edge there. And then this one is going to tuck down in here. Now I can trim this. I'm going to do that. And then I can just stick it right in here like that. So I'm going to pop that up too. So everything is popped up.
Lawyers didn't laugh at my jokes.
The lawyers didn't? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
No, they're probably doing the description of assault and battery. It's all right. I have mad respect for attorneys. And when you need one, and you're glad that they are the way they are. All right, and then we're going to pop that in here like that. That's so nice. And then we've got this extra little piece. So we can be creative. Rather than have it down at the bottom of this stem, we could tuck it into the side here like that. And we can actually tape that directly onto the card. So we'll just tuck it in there, and that'll be very cute. And now we can pop our greeting right on top like that. So I am going to put one foam square just under the ink. just to hold that there so it doesn't crush down. The NK. And we'll just put that right there like that. Now we can add a few little embellishments on these cards if we want. I think a few little black embellishments would be beautiful here. Oh my goodness, they're everywhere. And gold on the one with the gold. So let me get my glue. Okay, so a little black dot right in there. One right down here, and we'll do one right over there. Like that, just to add a little sprinkle, and that really plays off of that perimeter too, so I like that. Let's make sure I have some glue coming forward here. Let me squirt this glue on something to get it started. There we go. So put one right there. And we'll do one down here. And then I'll show you my extra cards that I made. And I'll take pictures of all of these, and I will add them to the Facebook group and also the community tab here on Facebook. I think I'll pop a bigger one there. And we'll do like a small one up here. And one more over here like that. Just a little bit of something, a little something something. And that right there, there. We could have gone with 5 on this one because it's a bigger card, but I think it looks pretty good. So let's take a look at some of the autumn-y style cards that I made using this too, because you know, it's nice to have a Christmas design with all that shine and that beautiful foil like that. And it's fun to have just a simple turquoise one. But we're going to do a couple other ones here. So I did a similar layout to this, and I used a greeting from the kit, from the Harvest of Happiness stamp set that's in the kit, and I cut that out with master layouts too as well. That flag is a master layouts too. So I used some warmer autumn-y colors. I used butterscotch. I used some sweet mango and a little tomato soup to get that blend, and also the jelly bean and fresh asparagus. Then I also have another foiled one, and this one I used sweet mango and coral reef and the jelly bean and fresh asparagus, and I did foiling with this, and I did a foiled happy birthday from our Elegant Greetings Poly-Glaze Sheets. So, and you can see in the background here, it looks like spatter. That's actually our snowy background stamp. I just did that with jelly bean just to give it a little texture. Here I used the Harvest Flourish with that butterscotch, but here I just used a background stamp just to give it a little texture. And again, that's another foiled version. And this one is the A6 size. So you can see if you look at the different sizes, you've got 5x7, you've got A6, and then you have A2. So you can see it's like daddy, mommy, baby, right? Okay. So there's a couple other ones. And then I did one that was a little bit outside of the box here. This one was Plum Punch, and then Plum Punch with a little edible eggplant at the bottom with the same greens. I stamped my greeting in Plum Punch too, so that's kind of nice to have that. And I used Master Layouts 20 for this. So you can see there's a frame. Can you see that frame in there? And then I used a little bit of sea glass and our Sea, Sun, and Sky stencil for back here. And then I added whatever was left on that Plum Punch to just make it a little bit more purpley blue back there, just to do some clouds in the background. And then I used our iridescent dots embellishments for that. And this is from a Stampin' Die set called Graceful Greetings. So many different greetings you can use, but you can use whatever you have. But that's another 5x7 card. So we've got 2 5x7s, we've got an A6, and we've got a couple of A2s that you can see just by cutting up that stencil. You could fit it all on there really beautifully. And you don't have to use all of them. You could go with 1, you could go with 2 flowers, or you can go with the full 3 just by changing the orientation of those flowers by cutting the stencil apart. Here I used 2 of them, and you've got like 6 flowers on here, and I just put them in opposite directions. So many different ways to use this design. And if you want to add that little extra touch of something, you can add those coordinating Poly-Glaze sheets in there and add foil to jazz it up even more. All right, well, we're going to give away a gift card tonight, but before we do, if you liked tonight's video, and we sure hope you have, if you wouldn't mind hitting the thumbs up button, like the video, and also don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you never miss another video. And then head over to our Facebook group. We'd love to have you over there. It's called Gina K Designs and Stamp TV Friends, where you can see lots of inspiration using Gina K Designs products. And then another big shout out to Brianne Loveland. Thank you so much, Brianne. We appreciate you linking everything. But if you missed any of the links, you can find lots of the products that I used tonight on our website at ginakdesigns.com. All right, Tom, let's let it rip. Let's give away a $15 gift card for one of our lucky commenters in the chat box.
Drum roll. Tonight's winner is Stephanie Mitchell. Stephanie
Yay,
Mitchell.
Stephanie. Congratulations, Stephanie. You are our winner tonight. You get a $15 Gina K Designs gift card, and all you have to do is send your name and email address to info@ginakdesigns.com, and we'll get that out to you. All right, everybody. Well, we will be back on Thursday with another Stampin' Chat Live, and we have a very special surprise for you guys. So we hope you will join us for that. Anybody waiting for your new release orders? They've all shipped. So everything is out the door, and I think we broke a record because we got them all out in 7 business days. So that was pretty exciting.
Woo!
All right. Yeah, 7 business days. The crew is amazing. They were really, really cranked. There was a day that they got 1,000 orders out in one day. They did an average of very, very close to 1,000 orders. So we're very, very proud of our team. Thank you, team. We appreciate you. All right, everybody. Well, thank you so much for joining us tonight. We hope that we see you again on Thursday. In the meantime, stay safe and healthy. We love you all so very much. And we'll see you again real soon. Bye-bye.